Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for having this very important hearing. Mr. Cohen, I want to just get right into the questions because just 3 weeks ago, we had by rule a statement that said you were not ready to fully verify income. What has changed in those 3 weeks?
What's changed is that we've looked at our process and we have confirmed that we are able to verify income for 100% of the applicants who will be submitting applications to the marketplaces.
You can verify for 1 to 2%?
100%.
100%?
Yes, we will be verifying.
So if that is the case, I'm just really curious how in just 3 weeks, with a rule being put out just 3 weeks ago to say we do not have the technology to be able to do that, and yet 3 weeks later we're now seeing, oh, all of a sudden we have the technology to do that.
No.
That happened.
That's not right. We said we were going to sample, and now we've concluded that the sample size is going to be 100%. So we always said we were going to do it. We just said we were going to do some. Now
I don't have the rule right in front of me, Mr. Cohen, but it did say that you did not have the technology to implement, and I don't have it right in front of me. But let me go to my next point. On April the 12th, here in this committee, in a Ways and Means Committee, Secretary Sebelius claimed 15 times there would be no further delay in this law. And yet the 1st of July, we got a rule that said there would be a delay of the employer mandate and that there would be a delay in the income verifications. And I just find that really interesting that 15 times in our committee that we're not going to have a delay. And now, Mr. Warfel, you claim that you're making efforts to verify the employer-sponsored coverage. Making efforts, and Mr. Cohen, you now tell us that tomorrow we're going to receive a new rule on the income verification. We're 60 days out. I don't think you all are ready. I really don't believe you're ready by what you're telling us here, that you are making efforts. This is 3 years worth of work, and we were told by the Secretary there would be no more delay. So I think that you can't have it one way and then something else come up. But let me go to Mr. Cohen on this one. Can you tell me what the role of Equifax and other contractors will be on these recently signed contracts that you have with them on verifying and providing 100%?
Sure. Equifax is a source of data from employers that we will be checking the information that people put on their application against in circumstances where we can't verify the information that's been provided from IRS data. We will check it against Equifax data because that's a current source of how much people are earning. That exists not for all employers, but for many employers. So it's another source of data that we can use to verify.
So you're saying in this committee today that 100% of the applications that are filed will have a verification of their income through whatever source, whether it's Equifax, do you have another contract beside Equifax?
And then if we can't verify against the sources that we have available, then we request documentation from the individual. They'll have to provide us, for example, with pay stubs.
Okay, so quickly I want to go, because I know my time's going to run out here. I want to go to the whole clawback, because Mr. Cohen, you mentioned earlier the IRS is supposedly going to be clawing back any fraudulent payments when people file their tax returns, and somehow the administration thinks this is going to deter fraud. But Mr. Warfel, this question is for you. Can you please explain to the committee to what degree the IRS has been able to recover fraudulent payments that have been made through similar advanced tax credits in the Earned Income Tax Program and also the Educational Tax Credit?
Well, a couple of things in terms of the clawback to clarify, because there's a difference between the Earned Income Tax Credit and here. And again, I made the point earlier, the taxpayer doesn't actually receive funds. The funds go to the insurance provider. And that's important.
But that's still money that goes out the door.
I agree.
Those are federal dollars that the hard-working taxpayer is paying. And that's and I know my time's going to run out here, but $11 billion were fraudulently doled out by the Inspector General's report in the Earned Income Tax Credit, $11 billion a year and $3 billion in the Education Tax Credit. And he testified in this very committee that, and these are his words, incredibly unsuccessful in clawing back that money.
So I know we're running out of time. Let me commit to work with your staff, if you'll allow, to explain the procedures that we have in place to get money returned to the IRS, earned income tax credit, and how we're going to work in the ACA.
Would you please do that in
I
writing?
will.
Because, as I said, this is absurd. We're 60 days out from full implementation. 3 years later, we're still rewriting this train wreck, and it's time that this administration admits it's not ready, and we need to delay this train wreck.
And
Okay, I
Mr.
yield
Werfel,
back.
I realize